Test one, two, test one, two, test one, two, test one, two. Good evening, good evening. I am Juanqui and welcome to my world. I am Juanqui and welcome to my world. Okay. I'm a cornucopia of stuff. Today we are coming through with an update. Karmelo Anthony, more has come out. I'm pretty sure that last night and this morning were the most difficult nights and mornings of this young man as he woke up realizing that he will be in there for 35 years. There was a lot in the news. There was a lot going on in the news today, and a lot of my fellow content creators here on YouTube giving their 2 cents. I'm coming through with some news, so let's go ahead. Karmelo Anthony, the 19-year-old Texas teenager convicted of first-degree murder for the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet, was sentenced to 35 years in prison and has officially filed a notice of appeal. Conviction and sentencing. After a highly publicized trial in Collin County, Texas, a jury found Anthony, it should say an all-white jury. But I digress. I didn't write the article. A jury found Anthony guilty of murder and handed down a 35-year prison sentence, rejecting his claims of self-defense and, quote, sudden passion, end of quote. He will be eligible for parole after serving half of his sentence. This is according to CNN. The appeal was filed today. NBC5 Dallas is reporting that just one day after his conviction, Anthony's legal team filed a formal notice of appeal and requested court-appointed appellate representation. Prison transfer. Following the sentencing phase, Anthony was transferred into the custody of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. He is currently assigned to the Wallach Pack unit near Vasoda, Texas, where he has to undergo the intake process. Now, the intake process could take anywhere between 30 days to a year. And this is designed. This intake process is when they send you to like a holding area where they're trying to classify you. They actually have to find a spot for you in one of the jails, and one of the prisons, I should say. They give you psychological tests, they give you gang affiliation, all of that, and they also school you on how things are going to run, how your life is going to be dictated and ran by the white correctional officers. So this could take anywhere between 30 days to a year, usually longer. Usually on the longer end of that equation that I just gave. Okay. Poor young man. All right. Anthony's legal team has officially filed a notice of appeal in Collin County just 24 hours after he was sentenced to 35 years in prison. While the initial filing is a standard legal step to preserve his rights and does not contain the fully detailed briefs, legal experts and trial records point to several core areas that will form the basis of his appeal. So what they filed this morning, and they filed it real quick as soon as that courtroom opened, that's so they could stop the clock, because you only have, I think, like 30 days, and I don't think they're business days. I think they're 30 days to file all the paperwork. So they got the thing in to stop the clock, and the experts and the people who sit there and commentate say that these are the key legal grounds expected to be included in the appeal. The based on challenge, meaning jury selection. This is expected to be a centerpiece of the appeal. During jury selection, Anthony's defense team lodged a formal objection after prosecutors used peremptory strikes to eliminate 3 black potential jurors from the pool. The trial judge accepted the state's race-neutral explanations at the time, but the defense will argue this violated the landmark Supreme Court ruling in Batson versus Kentucky. Now, just a quick overview of what the appellate court really is about. You do an appeal not because you are innocent, not because more evidence came out, not because that's not what we're doing an appeal. You do an appeal because you believe, and there is actual proof, that the judge, made a mistake and trampled over some of your rights. That's why an appeal is filed. An appeal is to say, wait a minute, I got found guilty because these situations were in place, these factors were in place, and the person who was supposed to be just and fair, meaning the judge, made several mistakes, and here they are. And a key point for you to be able to defend that and have the backing is, when they object and they get on the record, and they just talked about this in the description I gave, that is some of the things that then can come up during the appeal process. They got rid of 3 black jurors. This is the defense talking. They got rid of 3 black jurors. I objected, and the judge waived it and kept going. And that violates Batson versus Kentucky. You know what I mean? So that's a quick 411 on that. Another factor that they're expecting to be in these papers is the discrepancies in video evidence. Family advocates and legal experts have publicly stated that the video evidence of the bleacher confrontation and its immediate aftermath does not align with the testimonies given by prosecution witnesses. The appeal will likely challenge how the trial judge handled or admitted his evidence and the subsequent witness interpretations. Again, speaking to the possible mistakes, alleged mistakes that the judge did, thinking about that fundraiser and them pictures and the shrimp and cocktails that they had. And so see that he decided to look the other way. You understand what I'm saying? Allegedly. Rejection of self-defense and legal language. The defense argued throughout the trial that Anthony acted strictly in self-defense during the heated altercation over a team tent. The appellate team is expected to scrutinize the trial record regarding the judge's instructions to the jury. And before I finish the sentence, I bet you this has to do with the way that the judge spoke to the jury about what actually happened, or what certain definitions may be. Like, this is what it is to be self-defense. This is what it is to be a heat of the moment, a passion, right? All of that. Let's see. It says here, specifically focusing on how the legal definition of provocation was applied. So it looks like the judge defined what the word provocation was to the jury. And apparently the defense says that it does not agree with the way that it was defined. Let me see here. The legal definition of provocation was applied, which prosecutors used to successfully defeat the self-defense argument. Papers oath filed. Alongside the notice of appeal, Anthony filed a paper oath. I've never heard of this. Declaring himself to be financially indigent. Okay, now I know that. The indigent. And requesting a court-appointed appellant attorney. Wow. Okay. So I saw earlier today that there was a GoFundMe or, one of those things. And it was at like almost $400,000. And as soon as he got convicted, they yanked the money out and I guess returned it to everybody or whatever. So there was going to be a fund for his legal battle, but they did that away. Apparently, you cannot fundraise for convicted criminals. It says here that they have declared him indigent, which means he cannot afford representation, and he's going to go with a court-appointed appellate attorney. However, because this is me speaking now, because this is very publicized, I'm sure that all sorts of appellate lawyers are going to come out of everywhere to try to help and get on the wagon and get in front of the cameras with this, because it is going to be good publicity. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be good publicity. People will take this for free just to get their name on this case, unfortunately, or fortunately. So that is just a factor of the business, right? He is, financially indigent and requesting a court-appointed appellate attorney. He stated in court documents that he is, quote, too poor to employ counsel, end of quote, to represent him through the complex appellate stages. The entire Texas appellate process for a first-degree murder conviction is notorious for being a lengthy and expected to take anywhere from several months to multiple years to resolve throughout the higher courts. I said this yesterday. I told you guys this is going to take, it's not going to take no months. This is going to take several years, 3 to 5 years for this appellate decision to come through. That's what's going to happen, because they're going to get all the filings and all that. Then somebody's going to make a determination as to whether or not it has sufficient ground to be heard at the appellate court. And then the appellate court has to schedule it in their schedule. Let's see. So that's where we are right now. I think it's going to be quiet from now and for a while. I'm glad that the legal team is moving quickly so they could stop the clock and, do what they need to do. It's unfortunate that the GoFundMe got taken down. It was at like almost $400,000. I am hopeful that there will be other funds that are going to come up for this. I'm still sticking to the timeline that this young man is going to minimum, by the time this is all done, there's a second trial and a mistrial, and then they go again for a third trial. He is going to be there 10 to 12 years. Unfortunately. This is how this system works. I saw a lot of people on YouTube today and on Instagram giving their thoughts and opinion. It definitely has generated a lot of conversation. I'm a little bit knowledgeable on the law and understand the structure of it, and I get it. So somebody did X, Y, and Z in L state and got way less, but we're in Texas, and this is what states can dictate how much time they give for whatever reason. Like, it's a state's thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a feds thing where it's, for the most part, all uniform across the board. States, there's some states before where marijuana smoking was legal, and there was some states where marijuana smoking was classified, and it will go on your record, and it will stigmatize you for the rest of your life, the whole nine. So I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm just giving some context, because I saw a lot of people, rightfully so, angry, confused, mad, questioning. But, people need to understand, like, states run the way states want to run, unfortunately. And this is why it's so important for you to be wise, especially if you look a certain way and you sound a certain way and you live a certain way, or you like it a certain way, that you know where you are at, that you choose where you're going to live and where you're going to plant your roots and grow your trees, and that is something that where you, is not just you, but your generations, and that you will feel safe. And I saw Funky Dineva today do a video. Child, he just came back from a cruise or a trip or a hotel, whatever, and I guess it was a white woman in there. He threw her under the bus and everything. He said, I'm not saying no white people are the same and you was cool and all that, but, when you hear the but, it's going to negate everything you just said. I digress. But he was talking about how, sometimes people feel so proud to be the only child of this complexion going to that private school. And they have to, and the kid is sitting there trying to connect to people who don't want to connect, people who can't connect, who people don't have the same struggle, And, that develops into a whole lot of bullshit later on in life. Drop a bomb on that. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I could say more. Maybe I'll save it for later on. But yeah, sometimes you say a lot more just by saying the first sentence and leaving it right there. And that's what I'm going to do. We do this every night. Every night we do this. I hope I don't have to be doing serious topics. I hope we could get back to the foolery and the dumb asking questions about men, and can we give him advice, or all of that. Hopefully tomorrow, if nothing else breaks out in the middle of the night. We're almost there. Tomorrow is Friday's Eve. Yay. I want to thank everybody who came through and everybody who's going to come through. Please make sure you hit that like button. We do this every night. Every night we do this. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take a deep breath and have a good night. Peace.